In this video, I'm going to give a thorough rundown of Serum versus Wavetable. I can just see them like going out in a boxing ring. So I'm going to go step by step and compare these, tell positive, negative aspects of both, and just my general thoughts. First thing we're going to look at is sound quality between the two. So let's look at live and compare those. Here we are in live, and the sound quality between these two of the Wavetable versus Serum is pretty similar. They have amazing sound. The main question is aliasing and how they deal with filter. Just as a simple test, if I play this saw wave, we can see some aliasing and some things happening here in the harmonics. Let's look at Serum. Very similar. I will say that I actually prefer the sound of Serum slightly, like very, very slightly, because it has a little bit of a sharper kind of sound. We'll also notice that difference if I go down to a sine wave here, and then on Serum, I'm in basic shapes. I'm going to go to the sine wave, and let's compare those. Now notice the aliasing we have down here, because we should really only have a single tone. Granted, this is at like negative 68 decibels. This is very low. Over in Wavetable, same sound. You'll notice that we get a lot more aliasing at 108. That is still really, really quiet, but it shows a slight difference between the two. So I would say Serum slightly wins on this one. Bam, bam. Cool. Next, we're going to look at workflow and speed. What's really important for a synth, whatever synth I use, is how quickly can I use it? How quickly can I get the sound I want? Now, Serum has tons of options. It's got so much you can do with your two oscillators. So here's the two oscillators. We have a sub and a noise right there. And then we have our filter section. You're going to see the Wavetable is very similar. Then I've got all these different knobs, all these different possibilities, envelopes, and so on. The size of these knobs, it's a little bit harder to read. There's also multiple menus when I look at FX, Matrix, and Global. It just takes a little bit longer for me to navigate. Sometimes I forget where one particular setting is and so on. Whereas with Wavetable, I feel very fast in this. I feel I have my sub here, my two oscillators. I can pick them, pick sounds. And here's my modulators right there, as well as my LFOs, and then my matrix. It's all laid out. It's very clean. The design is very easy to see. I know exactly what I'm doing. But when I go over to Serum, I feel like I can do it all, but it just takes me a little longer. So in that way, I think, at least for me, Wavetable wins, and it's a lot faster for me to get the sound I'm looking for. All right, next up, we're going to be looking at the user interface. Now, this is totally subject to people's personal opinion, right? Some people love the way one synth looks and hates the way the other one does. But there's some key points I'm going to point out between the two. So let's look at it live. Now we're going to look at the user interface, the UI or GUI, right? And in Serum, I find it's a great UI. I can see everything that's happening. When I change filters, it actually changes the way they look, how they react. Same thing goes with things like the changing the wavetable. I can see where the wavetable is moving. Things like that. It makes it very user-friendly, very easy to navigate. But like I said before, one of the problems is there is a lot of menus going on, especially when you start getting to global. I do find the text a little small. I don't know why they have all these different grays and blues. I mean, with that small of type, it's pretty hard to see. I mean, it works, but it's just a little bit harder on my eyes. Granted, if we look at Wavetable, it's kind of similar, right? We have very few colors used in it. But something about their choice of blue being the lines here, yellow being the current wavetable, it's just very easy for me to see right from the start what is happening in this user interface. I find it very accessible. I also like that there's two views, one which is smaller and simpler, and then this one when it grows and is bigger within live if I want to get particular effects. Other thing is, you might notice throughout this video, if I'm trying to do I have to move this window around. That is not Serum's fault. That is because Wavetable is made within live. Because it's in live, it has the advantage of integrating it a lot more. But because of that, I think the user interface of Wavetable is a lot easier, quicker to use with, so I'd give it to them. Next, let's look at the routing and potential of these synthesizers, right? Because you want something you can easily make a sound, but then you can also grow it and make other sounds out of it and get as complicated or as easy as you want. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, Serum wins. Serum definitely wins. You can do a lot with this thing. You have all these effects that you can turn on and start putting them in here. You can do all these matrix things where you map them, you change the curves of your matrix. You've got destination routing. Wow, outputs. It is crazy complicated. You also can come in here and edit the wavetable, which is really sweet. There's tons of options here. There's more envelopes. There's more LFOs. There's just lots of possibilities. And you can load your own wavetable. I'm really hoping that Ableton Live allows you to do that. Now, with Wavetable, when we open this up, right, we've got lots of possibilities here, but we don't have as many. The only two things that I really like within this one and the way that they do it within Live is the effects of the Wavetable, where I can change the sync amounts. I just have a lot of options to actually distort and change the wavetable. And also with the unison, I don't just have one unison, I get multiple unisons with different amounts and different voicings. I think that has been a key for me making certain sounds, is those particular things, and is an advantage. But outside of that, I definitely think Serum far surpasses in terms of its potential of what you can do. Next up, we have reliability. You don't want to use a synth when you put it in there and it crashes every other time. So let's compare the two. Now, Serum is awesome. It's hardly ever crashed on me, but I will say it's hardly ever crashed on me. It has crashed on me, especially when I've had multiple of them. It started to act a little weird. There's also some forums and stuff out there where people with certain problems, it isn't just Serum, it could be its interaction with DAWs or other things like that. As far as CPU, I'm going to have something very simple in here. I'm going to turn up tons of unison because I feel that is when you start using the CPU. I have two oscillators, very simple shapes, right? Now, if I have this play, I'm at about 8%. I've got an article that describes what computer and stuff I have. You can check it out in the link if you really want to nerd out, but I get about 8%. Let's do the same thing in Wavetable. I'm going to go with a basic shape on both of these guys. I'm going to turn my unison up to 8. Turn it up quite a bit. You see it spikes and then it kind of goes down to 4 or 5%. But quick test, I've got 45 of these Serums going. Let's play that same sound. You can see Ableton's UI is starting to act a little weird. I'm going up to about 45% on my CPU. All right, now I have 45 of Wavetable. I play this. I'm getting under 30%. I'm also seeing no change in my UI. It seems to be really stable. And that just shows that when you have lots of external VSTs, it can start bogging it down. Now, granted, that doesn't mean Serum isn't really good at what it does. It just means Wavetable has been integrated with Live and has more reliability. I would say Wavetable wins. Okay, last thing. This is a little more abstract, but affordability. The reason it's abstract is because Serum you have to buy, and you can use it in any DAW. Wavetable, you might have to upgrade from standard to Suite to get it, but once you have Suite, you get Wavetable with it. I have both of these, and I find myself going more and more over to Wavetable, and I didn't have to buy it. So that's pretty awesome. So I don't think they either win or lose on that. That's your own concern around budget and stuff. I mean, Serum is super affordable in terms of a synth and what it can do. And Wavetable is awesome that it comes with Suite, and I just kind of get that upgrade when I upgrade. So, rundown, my final thoughts. I think both of these are great. If I'm going for super complicated sounds, really weird, growly, crazy things, because of the filters and the possibilities of Serum, I'm going to turn to that. But I would say 80%, somewhere around that. I've been using this for about 5 months now. I'm going to Wavetable because Wavetable is cleaner, it's faster, it's easier for me to manage than I find Serum. and I can get most sounds out of it. I also really like those things I talked about with unison and stuff. It's just a really fun and easy synth to use. So me personally, I keep going to Wavetable most of the time, but sometimes I still go to Serum when I want specific sounds I just can't get otherwise. This is a complicated subject, but it's super fun to dive into because it teaches us more about synthesis and what our needs are as a producer. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like it. If you want more Wavetable stuff, I'm building a whole bunch of Wavetable presets, so make sure you follow and subscribe to see those coming out. And there's other awesome links in the description below. I don't know, these boxes are always strange. And until next time, have fun making music.